Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, karibu sana. So today is an amazing day, and of course, as you can see even from the title, I'm back again with another amazing video. So this is a very serious topic to me, especially. I'm not doing it I'm not doing it for views or for like to build the channel. I'm doing this because I have been feeling like as far as I'm gonna continue sharing my story, I need to also share this because I feel like even if two people are gonna watch what I'm gonna share, as you can see from the title, it's how patriarchy have been fueling gender-based violence for years. I feel like so many people have been quiet. People have been like saying that people have been saying no to gender-based violence. People have been calling out people have been calling out men and women who are beating each other, but nobody gets to the root of the problem. So I have been thinking about the whole situation of gender-based violence, especially me as an African girl growing in a very patriarchal society. I was born and raised in a village in Kenya. So the society that I grew up in was very patriarchal. And a patriarchal society is a society where the men hold most of the power. So the men they are the leaders, they are the ones with jobs, they are the ones who make most of the say. And for some reason, I feel like this is a story for so many countries in Africa and also maybe in Europe and also in the US. But I have to say that most of the communities in Africa, we live in a patriarchal society which have been able, but patriarchy have been able to continue the story of gender-based violence especially in Kenya. And the first reason why patriarchy have been able to fuel gender-based violence is so much is power imbalance. For so many years, especially in Africa, men were the only ones who are allowed to have power. It doesn't matter leadership. Actually we are not yet there. For example, in Kenya right now, even women can contest for the same seats like men, but then you realize the society is still thinking in the same way, because we have 47 counties in Kenya, but out of 47 counties we normally end up with like 5 female governors. Okay, so all of the others are men, even though the women are given equal chance to contest and to campaign, to do all of these things. The society, because we still think like, okay, what will this woman do for us? Okay, so that is one thing. And also even in churches, there is power imbalance in churches. You find out there is so many churches, especially let us look like the Catholic Church. The most of the fathers, the leaders, we do have the sisters, but you know they are just like the back end in the church. They belong to the lower social class in the church. But now we have the other group, which is the men. They are the ones who are the leaders of the church. You look at Islam, the imams, the sheikhs, they are normally men. So you can see, due to that power imbalance, women have always been on the back end and on the receiving end of gender-based violence. And I'm not saying that gender-based violence is always directed to women. I have seen people complaining about like men going through the same, but now in this case, especially in African countries, which is patriarchal society, it's been men who have been abusing women for all these years. So the other reason that have caused patriarchy to fuel gender-based violence is harmful gender roles. From a young age, especially me, I was born in a family of boys. I'm the only girl in our family. So growing up, you would find out that all the hard jobs were used to be directed to the men in the family or to my brothers. And then me as a girl, I was supposed, or I was directed, and I was taught how to do the house chores. And I was also taught how to become a silent woman. I was taught how to be humble. And the men they were being brought up to be aggressive and also to be dominant. Okay, being who I am and being the girl that I have been all these years, and the fact that personally I'm somebody who loves to go after their dreams and all of that, I refuse to stay in that cocoon. I remember most of the time, even if you right now you go and ask my mom, she would tell you that I was one of the hardest girls to raise, because personally, like especially being raised around boys, I used to be humble like in my younger years, but then it came to a point when I realized that I'm being taken advantage of. Like, let's say we have done the same type of jobs the whole day, and then at the end of the day we come, maybe on the table we are serving tea and all of that, and all the men in the house just leaves their plates, their cups just where they were seated, just anyhowly, because they expect that I'm going to come and collect. So these men were not being raised to like okay, when you use a cup, you pick it and you take it to the sink or to the kitchen. So for them it was like, okay, you know what, I just gotta drink the tea and I'm gonna leave the cup just where it is, because somebody, a sister, a mother, an auntie will come and pick up the cup. But for me, I used to feel like I'm being misused, and I got to a point that I was so like defiant. I used to tell my mom that I won't clean those dishes because I didn't use them, and I was like that for so many years, and that's how I have been. And now we got to a point where, like, of course now everybody is seeing that I cannot pick up after, I cannot clean after everybody. So we had to have a system of like, you use a cup, you take it to the kitchen, because me personally, I'm not gonna come and pick it up. So these harmful gender roles, and I believe I'm not the only one who had to go through that, especially if you're a firstborn daughter, if you're the only daughter in a family. I know you know what I'm talking about. So for me it was huge to be defiant, because that's the only way that I would gain my power back. Okay, so these harmful gender roles, they teach these men to be dominant, to be aggressive, to be like, first of all, I have been so shocked to see like we have like girls who are brothers. Okay, let's say you're even an older, you are the eldest daughter and you have younger brothers. Then they grow up and you will just find out, like, let's say you're married and you feel like, I cannot do this anymore in the marriage. You come back home, you see your younger brothers are telling you, no, you cannot stay here, you have to go, there's nothing for you out here. So you see, these have made the boys to be very, very aggressive. Even in marriages, they are so aggressive. So the other factor is like patriarchy has been passed down from fathers to the sons, because most of the people who have been raised in patriarchal societies, you've always seen maybe your uncles, your father, your grandfather abuse some of the women in the family. So these men grow up seeing this, and it's like, oh, so this is how I'm supposed to act as a man. So if there is a disagreement in the house, these men always end up just being physical with their women. Okay, and gender-based violence, it doesn't have to be physical, it can be emotional, it can be psychological. Okay, so the other reason that have caused that patriarchy have fueled gender-based violence in this era, and also in the eras back when. I'm so glad that right now we are moving forward, and even in Africa we are having the opportunities women have, having the same chances to go to school. Okay, because the other reason that patriarchy have been fueling gender-based violence for all these decades and years is because women were fully dependent on these men. We know that, like, in the years back, women were not allowed to have bank accounts, which means even if they work on the farm, let's say you are selling the milk, the man has control over all the finances, even the ones that you went to the farm, you fed the animals, then the man have control for all of these finances, which makes the women to be vulnerable. Now what are you gonna do? You have to be obedient. So even if this person is abusive to these women, it just becomes so hard for the woman to be able to move forward, to be able to move out, because moving out even from a marriage, especially if it's coming with children, you need some finances to get out there. But if you don't have the finances, you don't have the resources, okay, you cannot be able to get out there. So the reason that patriarchy has contributed so much to gender-based violence is failing of institutions. Let's say like police officers. You go to report to a police officer who is also abusing their wife. So they're going to discourage you from reporting. They're going to discourage you from, like, let's say, going to the court to report, because it's like, it's just normal, okay? And also, like, religious leaders, when you go to the church to tell the religious leaders over there that I'm being abused and I need help, they're just gonna tell you, oh, you can just pray about it, you can pray about it, the Lord is going to redeem your marriage, we declare. You see, all of these things have been most of the factors that make women not to get out of this marriage and not to be able to get the necessary help. The other reason that patriarchy has enabled gender-based violence so much is normalization of abuse. Okay, like, especially in my village when I was growing up, because it was a patriarchal society basically, so it was just normal to hear like there's somebody screaming on the other side of the road. Okay, and you'd be like, oh, who is screaming? And you would hear somebody say, oh, it's who so and so maybe punishing or maybe disciplining the wife, and it will just be normal, and you don't realize it's not normal until you get out here and you see there's people who are having equal chances like men. There are people who are not being abused. Okay, so the normalization of abuse is one of them, and that's why we have to talk about it. That's why we have to shout and talk about it, because people like us who grew up in this patriarchal society, we just thought it is okay. Okay, it was like, okay, so she's just disciplining the wife, so we need to stop normalizing abuse. It's not okay to be abused. It doesn't matter if it's emotionally, it doesn't matter if it's psychologically, emotional. Nobody has a right to abuse you, and because like marriage is not a birthright. Okay, you should be able to get out. And I have to say that like gender-based violence is not just directed to women who are married. Gender-based violence have been directed to even sisters. It's been directed to aunties. It's been directed to maybe most of the women. Okay, so the other reason that patriarchy have contributed so much to gender-based violence is control over women bodies. So because most men feel like, oh, now we are married, you're my wife, so I do own your body, so you know what, I can. So that's why you find out that there is marital rape. Okay, there's all of these things the man can do with you as a woman, whatever they want, and nobody can talk to them, because what are you gonna do? You're gonna go to report to the police that your husband is assaulting you sexually. So it's like, it's just being demonized, and even you as a person, just imagine going to report your husband for sexual assault. It's like, are you even serious? And these things, these things. One of the things that I love about the rules of the United States, I was actually discussing that with my partner one day, and it's like they have a rule that says, even if you're married, like if the woman says no to anything, you cannot go on with it. If she says no, it doesn't matter if you are already in the process, you just should stop. And I think African countries should adopt such laws, because so many people have been sexually assaulted in the marriage, but they cannot report because it's shameful. It's been demonized. Okay, you're being told like, okay, so what do you expect? This is your husband. You cannot deny them their conjugal rights and all of these things. Okay, but now I feel like I feel like people should stop normalizing abuse. It's not okay to be abused. It's not okay to be abused by anybody. I remember story time. So there's a time that like as I grow up, so especially when you get to your teen years, mostly your parents start talking to you. And there was a time that like my mother was telling me that that as a woman, especially when you get a husband or you are dating somebody, you should just learn how to humble yourself, how to be obedient, how to be a godly woman, but and I could listen to the things that she was telling me, that even if this person tells you, like, even if this person is telling you to do something that you don't want to do, you just do it. But now, for years, I've never admired marriage in my villages. I cannot even give you like an example that is a marriage that I want to emulate, because all of them, I feel like they're just so, but it's just because for me, I see from the outside. I went to a boarding school, I went to university, and I've been away from the patriarchal society for so long, even though even in campus you find the same theories. But for me, just being away and watching from a distance, I've been able to see that this is not okay. So when my mother was telling me that, and that is before I even I left the community, I was like, no, I don't think that's okay. Okay, because for my whole life, because of growing up seeing women suffering in marriages and they're not able to live, because so how am I gonna live? How about these children? Okay, where am I gonna go? All of these things, because I grew up seeing that, I had already sweared that I would never allow that to happen to me. I know that I don't blame anybody who have ever allowed that to happen to them. But for me, I had told myself that, like, I just want to say that everything, all the abuse, anything that I've ever seen, emotional, physical, intellectual, is just going to end with me. And I remember telling my mother that me personally, I can only respect somebody who respects me. And that was so bold, and she just laughed. And from that day on, she never told me about who I'm supposed to become as a woman, how I'm supposed to obey a man. Because typically, I just feel like, especially this generation that had normalized abuse, they have nothing to say. They have nothing to advise somebody about marriage. Because how do you advise me that I should be silent even when somebody is telling me to do the things that I don't want to do? Okay, so this is just a message to say that it's not okay. It's not okay to be abused. It's not okay to be beaten. Actually, from my personal research and what I've been able to go through as an African lady and being able to grow in a patriarchal society, I've realized that gender-based violence is taught. It's protected by the systems that are in power, is being passed down from one generation to another. Gender-based violence does not just happen. It's not random, okay? Gender-based violence is not random. It's something that have been taught, it's something that have been enabled, it's something that is being protected by those who want to maintain patriarchy, okay? And I feel like everybody, if you're a woman, if you're a man who is going through violence, because I know these days you cannot say gender-based violence and just think about women, but in terms of most African countries and especially Kenya, I'm talking about the women who have been abused. If you've been abused, don't be silenced. Just get out there, seek help, okay? Okay, and I know abuse is embarrassing. It's embarrassing to even share your story. Recently on November 9th, women in most parts of the world came out and they put a purple profile on their TikTok, Instagram, and all of these places, just to be able to identify and to be able to console with people who have gone through gender-based violence. And I remember thinking, like, have these women really gone through gender-based violence? Because some of us who saw it with our eyes, it doesn't have to be that I went through it as a person, but you know, like those days, not right now where like somebody just slaps you. There used to be violence, real violence, like somebody beats you like a dog, okay? So if you have, I was telling my partner, and I was telling him, I feel like it's so embarrassing to even share some of these stories, especially somebody who had to go through it, or somebody who had to live through it, maybe your parents, maybe your aunties, your uncles. If you saw you feel the embarrassment in it. That's why I was just keeping saying, like, I cannot even believe that people can be able to come out in public and share. And I felt like so many people who are putting this process was just for them to be cool and all of that, but the real people, the people who have gone through it, is so embarrassing. And that's why I want to encourage you, if you've gone through something that is traumatic, you've gone through abuse, is not okay. And abuse is not your fate, okay? Abuse is, you make a choice to stay, okay? Gone are the days where you make an excuse for a child. You can move on with your child. You can even leave the child with the father, okay? Why do you have to stress yourself? Why do you have to see like you have to stay? Okay, I know most of you are gonna say that, like, I have never experienced I have never been married, I have never experienced gender-based violence as a person. But let me tell you, I come from the school of thought, like, just seeing somebody go through it is enough evidence that is not good. This is something that's going to lower your confidence. This is something that's going to lower your self-esteem. So if you relate to this story, or if you know somebody who could relate to this story that I'm giving today, I want to challenge you to talk about it. I want to challenge you to share this video, okay? So that so many people can come and share their experiences with gender-based violence, and so that we can be able to reach more people, and together we can be able to continue empowering each other and to continue to fight against patriarchy. Because the only solution to gender-based violence is dealing with patriarchy. Okay, so guys, if you've enjoyed this video so far, thank you so much for always coming back to watch my videos. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. And until next time, bye bye.